just wanted to just give a couple of sentences about myself. So for the last 21 years or so, I have been working with various kinds of people on realization of potential, leadership development. Those are the areas which really are of interest to me, and that's what I share with people. And this happened after, I would say, 1/3 life crisis. I was in the corporate world for around 10 years, and somewhere at the age of 30, there was a lot of restlessness which started developing inside me. Started wondering, what is life all about? Those questions started visiting me. I had this earlier ambition that I should be CEO at the age of 40. And then I started questioning, is this really important for me? I'm not really enjoying myself. So what should I be doing in life? With that very big question, who am I? What's my life all about? What's my work all about? What's my purpose? I started going on a journey of deep self-inquiry. And yes, I think out of that inquiry, this profession emerged, and which has allowed me to challenge this whole notion of who I am at the core. So all of us have a very fixed notion of, if I were to ask you this question, I am and I am not, each one of you would have some answers, and we'll get to that a little later. But that's a very limited aspect of who we truly are. Okay. And that was the challenge which I was thrown in those transformational workshops. And out of that emerged a completely new profession for me. So I do a lot of executive coaching. I've worked with all kinds of people. I've worked with NGOs. I've worked with spiritual leaders, monks. I have worked in the corporate world. I've worked with government bodies, all kinds of people I've worked with. And I live in India with my wife, my daughter, my in-laws, and my father. We're all one big family living together. And it's COVID which actually got us together. Okay, so it was not planned that my in-laws also would live with me. My father's always were there, but it brought everybody together, and now we are all living together. So little bit about me. You'll know more about me as we progress in the session. And would love to hear just a sentence or two from each one of you. And also, what is it about GMF that got you excited about wanting to be in this program? So just one sentence. I don't, it's not a lot, but just a brief idea of what is it that got you. Yeah. So how I would suggest is one of you start off and then you hand it over to somebody. Just point to somebody and that person will follow you. Yeah.
Hi, good morning. This is Hom. I come from Myanmar and I live in Sri Lanka. Why I would like to be, why I choose myself to be in GMF is like, I feel that I'm living in a very destructive, very uncompassionate and very broken war in both countries. So I want to survive and I want to make a meaningful life. So that's why I committed myself to be in these programs.
You're in Sri Lanka right now?
Yes, in Sri Lanka right now.
And where are you from originally, you said?
From Myanmar, Burma.
Oh, Myanmar, yes. Okay, great. Fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would pass to Hao King, please.
Hi, I'm Hao King here. I'm from Malaysia. Yeah. One of the main reasons I joined GMF is that, to jump up from my comfort zone, that, my life is always busy, but, I do not know that, what in me that I should, how I can contribute more by, understanding myself more so that, I can give more as well. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Pass it on to someone.
Amalina.
Hello, hi. Sorry, I'm at loss of my voice. The one thing that I want to do this fellowship is I want to learn to connect dots in life, like straightly from myself and to the nature as well. So that includes making a better and also safe environment for other people to live. So right now we know that safe doesn't mean that you are being threatened with guns or pistols or with war, but somehow we want to make a safe space to everyone that they want to live with us, instead of we throw words to them or we throw actions to them which is unnecessary. So yeah, that kind of dots that I want to connect in my life. Thank you. Next one, maybe we can have Ray.
Thank you, Amelina. Hello all. So my name is Ray or Raven. I'm a apologies if ever it's noise in the background. I'm a Filipina based in the Philippines, Quezon City in particular. And then yeah, I'm here because I mean honestly, where else would you find an intentional community that is about, seeking, figuring things out, yeah, and about compassion, which is something that is our world is yet to have an abundance of. Of course, it's not, I'm not saying it's a shortage, but it would be great to have it magnified better. Okay, may I call on Marnie?
Thank you, Ray. Hello, everyone. My name is Marnie. I'm also from the Philippines, like Ray. So we're friends, Ray and I, and everyone, of course. I'm a teacher actually here in the Philippines, and one of the lessons that we get to discuss in my class would basically be about compassion and how to promote it to bring about social justice. So basically, that's one thing I'm really attracted with the program, the emphasis on compassion. Yeah. Next will be Aaron.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Uday Kedkar and fellow travelers. My name is Aaron Dinesh, 30 years old from Malaysia. The reason why I joined the GMF fellowship is because of its I would summarize its philosophy to being changing the world through changing yourself, and the two practical values that become the theme of this program, that is conscience and compassion. Something which I am lacking in myself, and although I must say I've been doing activism since 2011, these two things are something which does not really it's not really felt when I do my activism. If you understand what I mean. Yeah, I think that's why I joined the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. And last one is Shins.
And Aaron, are you doing okay with the COVID?
I just drank some very bitter medicine. I'll be okay.
Hi, my name is Shens, and I'm from Malaysia. So why did I choose to join this GMF is because I'm in an awkward period in life. It's like I'm unsure of who I am and what I want to be. So I kind of think that this can help me figure out what I want and to change by starting from me, and hopefully it spreads to the people around me. Thank you.
Thank you, Shens. Very interesting. Hearing from okay, so let me, Dr. Nad, I'm not going to ask you, Kamala and Nirmal, okay? So very interesting. Various thoughts I got from all of you. Creating a safe space. There is this destructive world out there. Compassion needs to be there. How can I know myself better? So seeking and compassion. Then there's social justice. How do I change myself and change the world? And finally, who am I? What is it that I want to be? What's my work going to be all about? So these are all the questions that you're here with. So in the context of that, before we move on to behind the masks, I would love to get from each one of you a couple of learnings that you got from the last 2 sessions, which is, I think, dying to live, and related to the education system that we've all been exposed to over the years and which is there in existence right now. What are some of the key learnings that you've got from this? Just wanted to get an idea so that we can transition from there. Yeah, anybody can start off.
I could start.
Yes, please.
One thing that I've the themes with dying to live actually really spoke to me, because it's not that I always think of it in the dark sense of, death as inevitable, but every day there are choices, and we get closer and closer to moments wherein we have to reflect, find if we actually are closer to the purpose that we believe in. So then it made me think. It made me again realize, relish the question of like, what am I giving up? And definitely for this thing that I'm giving up for, this bet, is it really bigger than the thing that I'm losing right now? Because it's always me. I think in everything that we do, we either give our time, our talents, our treasure, but for something that ought to be bigger. So to make the whole dying process worth it. So I'm wondering about that. What am I giving up with everything that I'm doing? And at the same time, I think it's a valid question. What do I get back in terms of the purpose of my life? Is it really big than what I give away? That's it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ray.
I am Hawkin here. Yep. For me, that it's the whole encounter, like what we understand, that we are all shaped by the environment and our encounters. But the understanding session is really mind blowing. Where we thought that we know what we are doing, we know what we are reading, we know what we are living. But at the end of the day, that do we ask ourselves a deep question and converse with ourselves about, is that what you understand, or it's just a surface, or all these things is really like because of the busy schedule that most of the, especially me is always like just go by the flow. But the thing is, certain things that we need to ponder about, to have a deep thought. One of the most interesting thing is that when I think Mr. Jinan asked about that, whatever we are reading, are we word-based learning? How we understand world, is it through the words or through the experience? I'm the educator in profession, so most of the time that when we teach kids, we are really like talk about the statement, the whatever that the theory, but how about the experiment, experience that that they should get, and including I myself, that through the learning of the education, for more than 10 years, how it shapes me. Does it a true thing? How to put it is like, do I understand what I understand? Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Hawkin. In fact, listening to the two of you, we'll go to the others as well. I think very critical. We think we know, but it's all at a surface level. Okay, and in that, if you were to really look at it, all the education that we receive is neck up. It's not really engaging the heart. It's not really engaging the hands in any way, right? And who we are as human beings is a combination of head, heart, and body, right? Head, heart, and hands. but the focus is only on this. And what tends, I remember in my school days as well, it was all about analysis, learning how 1 + 1 is equal to 2, but the whole aspect of human dynamics. How do I really get along with people? How is it that I can actually dive into what my life can be really all about? It was all about learning to survive, to make sure that I'm doing something which will get me comfortable, a good job, and then I'll settle down, so on and so forth. It's not about living a life of meaning. It's not about experience at all, right? And you also mentioned about the busyness of life. We get sucked into that. And there is a very beautiful concept, which of course comes from our Eastern traditions. Are you on the dance floor or are you in the balcony? So if I have to ask all of you this question, suppose you are on the dance floor dancing, okay? And then suddenly you realize that, hey, I'm feeling a little tired. Let me go up to the balcony and just watch what is happening. What's the difference that you'll get in views from both? What's different on the dance floor and what will you see differently when you're in the balcony?
The one on a dance floor, it's more like more personal, I, me in it, right? But the one in a balcony, you are looking in the big picture in holistically, and also like you are seeing as a third person. Yeah.
Absolutely. So what you mentioned is, it's I, me, myself, and maybe there's a jostling around which is happening on the dance floor. You're not really able to observe what other people are doing beyond a particular point. But suddenly on the balcony, you zoom out and you start seeing patterns. You're able to say that, hey, this person is dancing amazingly well. Hey, this person seems to be totally off key. And there are some patterns that are forming over there. So how do you link this to life? How do you link this to life? In the way we live our life on a day-to-day basis, how can this be linked? Anyone? How can you link this to life?
Yes, for this one, like, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, because like I feel that I have been on a dance floor for all my life, but in the last encountering sections on dying to live, right? So this one take me out because I'm so much conditioned into the narrative of being a victim, so the narrative of, like sensationalize the conflict around me and such thing, right? So like from that section, I feel like it's pulling me out to the balcony, like I start to appreciate all the experience that I have that shaped me until now, even the favor one or unfavor one. So like this become not differentiate that, okay, this is unpleasant, I'm a victim. It is not such. It is just something like, how am I evolving? How am I becoming? And something. And also at the same time, I started to see like behind the actions of the others, like those who are violent or those who are doing injustice. So I'm not just too much zoom out to there, and I start to feel that what make this one happen, and I start to see from zooming out, and I start to see from the balcony. Yeah.
Beautiful. I think you really captured it well. Anything else anybody would like to add on? How can you wanted to say something?
Yeah, like what Hom mentioned, but probably I want to add on is that, the reflection part is like, most of the time that we are just too busy, as what Sir, you mentioned that, the busyness of the schedule, but we forget that, we need to just reflect on ourselves, that, just need a time to talk to ourselves, and at the same time that how to be present, it's like both ways, like we are at the same time on the dance floor. I mean, we are dancing, but we're at the same time that we're at the balcony. That it must have to strike a balance, or else that that the imbalance will somehow that create some unnecessary. I would say that the imbalance emotion as well, because of the imbalance of this. We didn't strike the balance on that. Yeah, I hope it. Yeah, that's my thoughts. Thank you.
In fact, I want to link this to Aaron. You mentioned about activism, right? Now, activism is great, but many a times what happens in activism is that we are so much in the dance that we are not able to zoom out and check out what's really possible. Coming from a bitterness and rage that there is something wrong with this world, I need to do something to change it. But in the process, it's like, I have seen a number of activists who are filled with so much rage that actually they're not able to make a big difference out there. Because the mind is clouded, they are so much in the dance. They are not able to see what's really happening. Zooming out and actually being able to see what's really happening gives you choice in the matter. So your ability to be in the balcony as well as in the dance at the same time. So right now, as I'm speaking to, am I really aware of what's happening within me? Typically, what would happen right in the beginning of any session for me would be, there would be some anxiety. Can I really deal with that as I'm talking to you? Right? Some of you may be going through some anxiety right now. I hope this guy is not going to make me too uncomfortable. He might say some things which may not really be very, good for me, or whatever it is. Will I show up properly in this session? You might be thinking of that. It could be anything. So there is always something which is going on inside us. So if we are able to really deal with that aspect whilst we are in action by being on the balcony, it's something that can really, really support us in being powerful, whether it is in activism or day-to-day walks of life. Yeah. So balcony and dance. So that's a very, very crucial aspect of it. And more often than not, we are not taught to do this through our normal education. Normal education doesn't tell us that check out what your emotions are. Check out what thoughts you are going through. Challenge your belief systems. See what's really happening inside you. It's not taught that way at all. And we walk through life with a number of concepts stuffed into our head, and we are programmed to be in a particular way. Yeah. So we will build on this theme much more as we go ahead today. We are going to get onto a balcony which will allow each one of you to understand how each one of you is wired up. So when I ask this question, or when this statement comes to you, behind the mask, what comes to your mind? Not the mask which Shenz is wearing, but otherwise?
Maybe to reveal oneself, like you remove something out layer and you want to know what is inside that you have been hiding from the other people as well.
Beautiful. And can you share an example of that? Is there something, do you put on any mask, Amalina?
I think I do. I mean, that's what, for myself, right? I just show what I want other people to see at that time. I mean, for different people and for different circumstances. I mean, in my own self, I'm very introvert, like in personal life. But when it comes to the crowd, when it comes to an event, they see me as someone who can talk, as someone who is friendly. But behind that, I was actually preparing a lot in myself to actually talk to people. And after that, I need to recharge myself. So they don't know the struggle before and after the thing that they actually see. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else? What does this title mean to you, behind the mask?
I think for me, it's the same as Amalina. It's like, for me, I think putting on a mask is some so-called like self-defense, just to feel safe in the zone. So when you try to put on a mask to look more alike to the people around you, to actually blend in, it's like you feel safer to be someone else in front of them than be yourself, because you might be afraid that they might not accept you.
Beautiful. And what do you think is the impact of that?
It's very tiring mentally. So I guess if it's possible to not put on a mask, that would be the best.
It's very tiring. Anyone else? What could be the impact of wearing any one of these masks? Continuously wearing a mask?
For me, it would be just like It's like what Shen said, to be very stressful. I think it would eventually be affecting your way of living and your lifestyle as well. Because the masking would be more like always seeking for approval, seeking for belongingness, wanting to be ideal all the time. But we have to go back, or I have to go back to my truest, most authentic self, and hopefully be able to show that to everyone. Because again, there's no way that you can live life to the fullest than just being your truest self.
And my question to all of you, how many of you would really love to live a life to your fullest potential? Anyone doesn't want to? You want to? Okay, each one of you. Amalina, you too?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So, in the context of what we are discussing behind the mask, I just want to share something with you. Okay. So the title for today is Behind the Mask, Accessing and Unleashing Potential. And here's this equation, which is called performance is equal to potential minus interference. The very famous coach called Timothy Galway, who has come out with this. And you could replace performance with impact that you want to have out in the world. It could be productivity instead of performance, whatever word you want to put over there. But essentially it is performance is equal to potential minus interference. Now, if you were to look at this statement, what does it really mean to you? Performance is equal to potential minus interference. How many times would you say that you perform at potential?
Very rare, I think.
Very rare.
Probably only when we were babies and kids and we didn't worry about people judging us. I think that's when we should have done that. I should have done that more often. These days, very conscious. Yeah.
You said something very beautiful. As babies, when you look at it, Nirmal, you don't need to spotlight, and let's all be on the screen. I'll tell you in case there is something to be done that way. Okay, because I want to see everybody. Yeah. So as babies, if you really look at it, I remember my little one. Now she's no longer so little now. She's 26 years old. But when she was really little, she had that sparkle in her eyes, and she used to be a free bird running all around, expressing herself fully. And then what happened? Then suddenly somebody said, hey, this is not the way you're supposed to behave. You need to behave differently. Girls don't behave in this fashion. You need to be a little more restrained. Don't laugh, don't cry, don't speak so loudly. You are supposed to be this, that, and the other. And then over a period of time, that natural expression which is there, a full expression of potential slowly starts coming down, right? And in the context of that, performance often is not equal to potential. There are interferences which come in the way. Now, if I have to ask you this question, what are the interferences today in whatever you want to achieve in your life? What are some of those interferences?
You should.
Sorry?
The expectation by ourselves and by families.
Expectations of others, and internally also whatever expectations are there. What else?
Gender stereotype. Sorry, Ray.
Go, Kamala. You first.
Ray?
No, it's your session.
Go ahead, Ray.
Bittersweet, the need for sleep. It interferes with me.
Need for sleep, okay. Yeah. That's a very, very practical interference which is there, no doubt. Anyone else?
Mandates from superiors, from bosses.
Mandates from superiors. And at times those bosses also may not be very pleasant, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Anything else?
And social norms and the pressure from the society. Yeah.
Pressure from society, social norms, any other interferences? You said quite a few, but any others?
gender stereotype that because I belong to a particular gender, I have to
Gender, yeah, gender can be an issue, right? Anyone else? Any
And
more?
also it could be coming from ourselves internally. Yeah, because sometimes like even the traumas, or even that when you have too much ignorance, when you are not so aware of yourself, and so not knowing your potentials, not knowing your real self. So this could be in
Beautiful. Huh? So very clearly, there are two kinds of interferences which stand out. Suppose I'm in a job, I may be having a boss who I just don't get along with. I may have a team which is not really performing very well. I may have competition which is very fierce. The socio-economic environment may be really bad. The political environment may be extremely unstable. You know, my family life may be very disturbed. So these are all external interferences. But internal interferences are also there. So you mentioned some of them, Mom. Yeah, what's real? Some traumas may be there. I'm not being myself. Any others? Internal interferences?
Sir,
Yeah.
I think even still a good. I mean, it's a kind of good disturbance. It could like the balancing it out, that it makes you question a lot, interferes with possibly like a full like head first and everything else for you to put a bet on something. Then you always have to analyze things, always have to reflect, is it worth it? I think it's more of like it can be an interference, but at the same time it could be my compass. So the constant questioning and reflecting.
Okay. There are times when there is constant questioning, reflecting, analyzing, maybe analysis paralysis, which could get in the way. At times it is useful, but at times it could be an interference. Yeah, very much. Right? So if you really look at it, Timothy Galway talks about that performance is equal to potential minus interference. Interference are external and internal. Where do you think our focus is more often than not? Internal or external?
external.
More often than not, we are blaming the environment. I wish this one were better. If only my wife was a little different, our marriage would be perfect. Right? If my father had done this to me, it would just be amazing. I was not taught very well. That's why, I am the way I am. I did not get the right circumstances, the right professors, the right this, that, and the other. Otherwise, I'm an amazing person. But all these interferences come in the way of my being able to perform well. Very seldom do we turn the camera inwards and say that I am responsible. I need to ensure that my inner game is taken to a completely different level. So there is an external game being played, but there is also an internal game. I may be having fears, I may be having judgments, I may be having a lack of confidence, a lack of self-esteem, a whole bunch of stuff which is there. How do I really deal with that aspect in such a way that I'm actually able to play the external game powerfully? And there are occasions when all of us go through that peak experience, when actually it seems like everything is in a flow. Would all of you agree that sometimes you feel that time stands still and you find yourself really being extremely productive? You find that things are moving very smoothly, as if you are extremely skilled in that moment, and things just move in a very different way. Do you experience that sometimes? Yeah, that's the time when actually performance is equal to potential. But that's not available to us all the time, primarily because there is so much happening internally. We are not able to master the inner game to be able to perform at potential. Okay, and potential is of two types. One is you being able to operate at the highest level of what you already know, and then there is the unknown potential. So two types of potential are there. One is unknown and second is known. You know you have done this in the past, but you are not able to do it at that level. Right? In fact, in India, there is a game of cricket that is played. Okay, I'll put it very simply. There is a ball that is thrown at a person who's called the batsman, and the batsman is supposed to whack it for certain runs. Okay, 6 runs is the highest number of runs, most number of runs. Now there is a batsman in India who, one after the other, 6 balls, he hit it out of the ground. Okay, and when he was asked this question, what were you thinking of when you actually hit that ball out of the ground? What do you think his answer was? How can?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. He said, actually, I was not thinking at all. So, Ray, what you mentioned about this analysis paralysis, which can happen, actually comes in the way of our being our fullest selves. Yeah. So, what we are going to actually dive into today is this whole aspect of interferences, which is also linked to the mask that we have spoken about, behind the mask. What is it that is required from us so that we are actually able to operate at potential? That's what we are going to dive deeper into. Okay. So any questions at this stage, because this is just a formative stage right now, I would love for us to be on the same page. Any questions in your mind? Yeah, Ray, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm just wondering, sir, about, of course, you'd like to, I'm sorry if I'm like taking this too literally. Of
Yeah.
course, you want to be in our potential. But I think that's the point of us, like climbing. We ought to not always be in our potential. We ought to like, of course, like working in a focused manner until we reach our full potential is also very telling of our potential. But I'm just wondering, is it not okay to just to to strive and understand your limitations and to have most of the time, because I do agree, not most of the time we are not at our at our peak, and perhaps that is okay on my end, because if we were always in our peak, then I don't think the peak would mean that much to us anymore.
So please get it straight. Nowhere did I in my discussion mention that you need to be at the peak all the time. It's part of human endeavor. However, what happens is all of you put up your hand that yes, I would love to operate at my potential to the extent possible. But how many of us have really turned the camera inwards to look at the interferences very closely? Yeah, so if you are going to be striving without looking at the interferences, you are going to be exhausted and burnt out. You are not going to operate from your potential. And that's really the issue, Ray. It's part and parcel, right? Right now, as I'm talking about it, performance equal to potential. Am I always at my potential? No, not at all. But it's a human endeavor. No, more often than not, what happens is the blame game where we keep blaming the environment for the condition that we are in. It should be a compassionate world out there. Am I compassionate? It's a destructive world out there. How many times do I self-destruct? How many times do I self-sabotage? Those are questions which are very, very crucial. And unless we get onto the balcony and observe this happening, we are always going to be striving more and more. And maybe luck, some chance you might hit that potential at times, but not in a consistent way. So you're right, absolutely. Striving is good. And nowhere are we talking about that life is such that, yeah, it's an exploration, it's a discovery. But are we doing it in a way which is from here? In the last session, we spoke about what was spoken about dying to live. Are we caught up in this, or are we really going through an education which works at an experiential level? What I shared with you is a concept now. Performance is equal to potential minus interference. What can you do with this? Nothing, unless we really learn how to, at an experiential level, start looking at the interferences. Yeah? Does that address what you mentioned, Ray?
It's giving some very good prompts, sir.
Okay.
I guess
Thank
at
you.
the end, it's always us learning together. So
Sure.
looking forward.
Anyone else? Any questions? Any comments? And even if you don't agree with me, please feel free to just speak out.
So I don't really have an exact example for this, but I actually curious between potential and feeling potential and versus denial. I mean, somehow we feel that we know something, I'm very potential on this, but at the same time, we are actually being denial that we are reluctant to, maybe we are reluctant to ask people how to actually grow. So yeah, between potential and denial state.
And what really leads to that denial? Why do you think denial happens? Why does it say, if you, in your case, you realize there is some potential and yet you deny that? Why do you do that if you do that?
Maybe like Home said earlier, we have a childhood trauma, like maybe some fear, or it's just about us question ourselves, am I being fair to other people when I'm having this kind of potential, or if I'm I don't know, it's kind of confusing in this stage.
You mentioned about childhood trauma, something happening inside you. So if you really look at it once again, it is the mind that is playing games. It is telling you, don't do this, do that. If you do this, this will happen. Do I really know it that well so that I can actually live up to my potential? What happens? What if I get rejected? A whole bunch of these things happen, and actually then you self-sabotage. Correct? So moving on from here, anyone else? Thanks for that, Amrina. Anyone else? Any other question? Okay, so let's move on from here.
It is not a question, just some realization is that, like, when we talk about potentials or interference, it is a lot related to how much you are aware of it when it comes to the potential as well, how much you are aware of that you have this and you should nurture it, right? But at the same time, when come to the interference also, like when we are in the rat race and like we are not really aware of, these are the interference, especially like we mentioned, internal interference. So we don't really turn the camera in ourselves and we don't make time for it, and we don't have a communities or the environment that would support us to look into ourselves compassionately and critically. Sometimes we look into ourselves very critically. It's not compassion. This one popped into my mind.
In fact, that's a very crucial part of it. The rat race, we get so sucked into it. Rat race, or you can call it the dance now. We don't get onto the balcony and really turn the camera inwards and look at what it is. And very crucial is, can we look at it compassionately? It's not something that is wrong with us. It's an opportunity to really grow. But the way our education system also is, the way the upbringing is typically, more often than not, there is something wrong, right? So it's a good time now to actually take a balcony moment. And let's get our journey started on actually understanding what could be some of your own internal interferences which get in the way of you realizing your potential. Yeah, each one of you. So if I have to share for myself, I've been doing this work consciously for many, many years. Okay, now, one of the biggest interference which has come in my way over the years has been this whole thought that I'm not good enough, this belief. And experiences in my early childhood shaped me to be that way. I was always compared with people around, and unfavorably at times. And my parents didn't do it, but there were a lot of people around. So my brother was a very sociable types, life of the party, very popular with all kinds of people. I was very quiet, geeky, reading books, and I was always poked and told, why can't you be more like your brother? So he's so friendly. So that actually became an interference for me. I started feeling I'm not as good as my brother. Eventually, it landed up in I'm not good enough. Okay. Now, out of I'm not being good enough, how do you think I will start behaving? Will I be relaxed and confident? I was found to be always very tentative then. I may have a good idea, but I would not share it because, hey, who am I to share all this? I don't think I'm really good enough. Something like what Amlina mentioned. I don't think I can share this. I would not take enough risk. That became my interference. So this is one of my interference. Second interference within me was around conflicts. I would always be very scared of conflict. Right? Any high conflict situation, I would shut up or I would move away from the situation. Right? So that became an interference for me. This way, I've got several, which I have been working on for years together so that I can be closer to my potential. Yeah. So quickly, you don't need to do it like thoroughly right now, just a few which you can reflect on for the next 5 minutes and share it raw. Later on, we'll have a very systematic process for identifying these interferences. Okay. Yeah. Take 5 minutes and reflect on some of the most obvious interferences that you may be having, and then please come back. Nirmal, can you set a time for 5 minutes? You have a timer?
Or should we have a small break when everybody can think about it and then,
That's also fine.
come back? I don't know, Dr.
Yeah,
Nath?
so you can be on the screen or away from the screen. That's perfectly fine. You can just take a break, 5 minutes. Just get into your life and see occasions where perhaps you would love to operate at potential, but there is some internal interference that comes in the way. What is that interference for you specifically? It could be one, two, many, whatever you can identify. So take your time, 5 minutes, we'll be back.
I think 5 minutes is over.
Now it's fine, yeah.
Yeah.
5 minutes is done. Yeah, so would love to hear from some of you. What are your, in fact, each one of you, just rattle out one interference, one or two maximum. Just say it and move on. Point to someone.
Can I start from myself?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I think easily getting distracted for me.
Easily getting distracted, okay.
Which is flexible enough and not difficult to say no to people.
Difficult to say no to people. Okay, beautiful. Great. Point to someone.
Yeah.
Go next.
Okay.
Yeah, For myself, that I think not openness enough to change. Always live in a comfort zone. That always not comfortable. Going off the grid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you give an example of that? When
example is that I think I mentioned to the fellows as well that even Dr. Nat, I'm very reluctant to join this fellowship because I always think that I'm not that type of person that that would join these type of things. It's like not open enough for any changes. So it's been a struggle for me that because I judged myself that I am not this type of person. So that's why all this mindset will come into interface. Yeah, home next. Yeah.
Thank you. I found so many layers, and just to pick two, the first one would be fear and insecurity. Fear and insecurity. The other thing is ego.
So what do you mean by ego?
Yeah, what do I mean by ego is that the outer layer of that is something like my prejudice, biases, stereotypes. These are the things. But when I think really deep down, it is the ego. Like my people, my view, my perspective. So this one is too much, and it's become too rigid. And so my worldview and the way I see the things become very narrow, and I slowly become like how King say, not open enough to see the other perspective, not open enough to connect with others. So basically, I would say it's because of the ego, too much attachment on, me, my, something.
Got it. Thank you. Yeah, anyone else?
Sorry.
Would love to hear from all of you. Yeah, just point it to someone.
Yeah, I would pass to Ray, please.
Ray.
Thanks, Hom. Actually, I found it hard for internal interferences. I think I need more reflection on this. But if everyone would be fear of drowning, because if only I could have if only I knew how to swim, if I face it, I know I'd have more adventures. Second thing is that I tend to be too adventurous to the point of me being too distracted because of all of the things I try. So it interferes, with me being present. Is that okay, sir?
Yeah, fine, absolutely.
Okay. All right. I'll pass it on to Kamala.
Thank you, Ray. For me, I think it's self-confidence. Sometimes I feel like I also, like Uday said, I also feel like I don't know much and I am not the person who can do things right. So I think because of that, it's hard for me to make certain decisions. So that's one of them. And yeah.
Thank you.
Aaron?
Yes. I don't know, Sir Uday, I think I need a day to actually think about this. but what I've identified in this short time is that, I think self-esteem is one issue. The other one is the fear of being what is the word for it? Bashed. Like in a presentation, bashed, being bashed.
Okay.
Bashing, get a bashing. Yeah. No, I don't mean a physical one. I mean like when after we have presented something to an audience. Yeah, that is one, and that is the other one, and then it would be something we discussed yesterday, having too many thoughts at the same time. I want to delve into many things. It's very hard for me to stick to one thing. Yeah, very multitasking kind of work attitude that I have.
Sure. Okay.
Please
pass on.
Friends.
Hey, I guess for me is mostly I think fear of challenges. So I think it interferes with reaching to my highest potential, because like when I'm scared of taking on the challenge, then I kind of stay back in my comfort zone, just like what How Can says is like I just want to stay in my comfort zone, and because challenges are scary. And then also like I think mostly also self-esteem, like it brings me down kind of thing. Yeah. For me.
Thank you. Amalina and Marnie.
I think for me is about, I always have this kind of thinking. Am I being fair to this kind of people or any other person when I pursue a potential? So sometimes, I don't know, maybe I think too much, and also sometimes I become defensive. So yeah, the first one is very common for me.
As for me, this is actually my fear, the fear that I have struggled all my life. The fear of not being useful. If you have seen the movie Encanto, Luisa, that is me. So I'm scared if I'm not useful. So I have a tendency to overwork myself, to overly perform, and I end up getting tired just to impress on people and to meet their expectations. So yeah, that's it.
Sabir, you want to share?
Yes, Professor. In my case, the hurdles or obstructive to my potential would be procrastination, and I like to work on something very focused. But when I am disturbed, I get very irritated, and and sometimes I require support from my surroundings, which I don't get usually. Sometimes, not all the time. It can be from internally, I mean family, or might be office. So I get sad when I don't get support. So these are the things I think that hinders the potential.
And remember, what you mentioned about not getting support is an external interference. What's the internal interference in that? You get sad.
Interference, that yes, I get sad.
You get sad, and that interference maybe comes in the way of you even
Yes,
influencing them.
maybe comes in the way, yes. And there are several other things like yes, that I think that is one of the major reasons, I think, that that is internally obstructs or hinders me. Yes.
So now the question is, all of you have shared your interferences and you know about them now. So you can just change it, right? Why do you hold on to it? Just shift it.
How?
Or read some book which will tell you now do this, and or I'll tell you 2-3 tips. Okay, you feel fearful, you should do 1, 2, 3, go ahead and do it. Is that easy to do?
No.
Why not? Why not? But all our education system is like that. It tells you tips and techniques and tells you should do this. If you don't feel confident, then you should do this, and just go ahead and finish it off. All of you know your interferences now, and you should be free now. Why doesn't that happen? Why doesn't that happen?
This one reminds me of our first encountering section, understanding, because the books and the knowledge are someone else's wisdom. It is not our wisdom. So we are just like encountering with the words. It's not through our experience yet. Yeah.
Beautiful. So this needs to shift at an experiential level, at an emotional level, at a body level. Now I mentioned about my own fear of conflicts. So what used to happen is I was working in the corporate sector. So I used to get this nice 360-degree feedback, which would tell me that, Uday, one of the most common feedbacks that you're getting is that you don't engage in conflict enough. You keep quiet, you don't stand for what you believe in, or you move away from the room, and that is coming in the way of you really delivering at the highest level. Every year I would get it, and then they would send me for an assertiveness skills training program. How should you be assertive? I would go there, feel very excited, try to implement a few things, and then back to same level again. So I would try my best to implement the new stuff, but it would happen only incrementally. What would really happen when there was a conflict was that deep within myself, my heart would be racing. If there is a conflict, my throat would dry up, my palms would be sweating. I would feel extremely fearful. My thoughts would be, hey, why are these people behaving in this fashion? They shouldn't be doing this, and why can't they be more logical, etc. And then all the assertiveness skills training would go out of the window. Right? So I'm being told, I've done skill training as well, which is to some extent experience, but still changes are not happening. Why not? Okay, so yeah, Musabbir, I see you have raised your hand. Please go ahead.
Are you an introvert by nature?
Yes, I am an introvert.
Okay.
Yeah. So what
you
makes
are
you
speaking so good? You seem like an extrovert.
Exactly. So that was also one of my interferences earlier. In my growing up years, I was told constantly you should speak up more. Today also I'm an introvert, but whenever it is required, I can speak up. So this is one interference I've been able to get rid of.
Okay.
But anyway, that's a different topic. So now do you get this? Why do you think it's not changing? Assertiveness skills. Because human beings are like icebergs. What's unique about an iceberg? You know what an iceberg is? Iceberg. What's unique about an iceberg?
It can melt.
Oh, it can melt, of course. Anything else that is unique?
It floats.
It floats, yeah.
The
Anything
visible
else?
part is only small, and then they are invisible.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the critical thing. So only 10% of the iceberg is seen above the water, 90% is below the water, right? Now my question to you is, or rather I'm going to make a statement. Human beings are like icebergs. In what way?
They do not share much to everyone. They do not express, but they show a very little part of them. Small part.
What part is seen by the world?
Which one is acceptable by everyone?
Yeah,
which one is not
that
judged
could be
by
one.
everyone.
Sure. But what you see is the behavior. The tip of the iceberg in the case of human beings is the behavior. You get what I'm saying? Tip of the iceberg is if tip of the iceberg is behavior, what is there beneath the waterline?
The subconscious, maybe.
Subconscious, you're right.
Motivations for doing the actions.
Sorry. Motivations for doing the action.
Motivations for doing
Yes.
actions.
Sure. What else?
Belief.
Beliefs, yes. What else?
Stories.
Sorry, Ray?
Stories. Sure.
Stories, okay. Okay, what else?
True character.
True character, okay, that could be part of it. Tell me more.
The soul.
So there is so much that is there beneath the waterline. There are motivations, there are stories, there are life experiences, there are beliefs, and I'll add on some more. There are feelings, there are thoughts which we go through. We have certain values, we have a certain character, all that is there. And what happens in the realm of human behavior shift? Oh, this person is not engaging in conflict. From tomorrow, you start engaging in conflict. There is so much which is there underneath the waterline, and you're expecting that the tip will change without really addressing any of that which is down below the waterline. It's impossible. Almost impossible, I would say. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So actually, if we are really looking forward to significant shifts in behavior, all of you have expressed this desire of becoming more compassionate. Now, if I tell you start being more compassionate from tomorrow, is it that easy? What's there beneath the waterline which will not allow you to be more compassionate? Unless that is dealt with, you are not going to be a compassionate person. You'll try to be nice. You'll try to be kind, but that is going to be short-lived, and people will see through that. Okay, so when we are looking at significant behavior shifts, it is critical that we go beneath the waterline and actually check what's there. And accordingly, then we work on it. So I'm going to be sharing a simple model with you. So who's mentioned this? Introversion is too undervalued. It's a beautiful thing. Of course, it's a beautiful thing. I'm a beautiful thing. No doubt. So I'm going to share a model of the iceberg with you, which is going to be a very powerful way of getting onto the balcony of yourself, to understand yourself better, to understand the mask that you actually put on consciously, unconsciously as you walk through life. So first step will be to start identifying these. And yeah, what Aaron, you said that even if you spend one whole day, I can tell you one lifetime may not be enough to really get down to interferences at a deeper level. Yeah, right now we have just done at a basic level, but yeah, this is where the journey starts. Can we really start understanding ourselves better so that actually shifts can happen in a way that we are operating from our authentic self, beyond the mask, behind the mask? Okay, so all set to go one level deeper? Great. So let me just share this with you. So this is the model of the iceberg. So at the tip of the iceberg are the behaviors. And I'll be sending you notes on this. So for your own reference, you can take right now, but I will send you definitely some notes on this. The tip of the iceberg are behaviors. Just beneath the waterline are the thoughts and feelings, surface level. Beneath that are our values and beliefs. Then there are life experiences which have shaped us. And in those life experiences, some needs have been met or unmet. And there are also our fears over there. Now, this looks like a good concept. I'm going to be sharing in detail with you so that you are able to make sense out of it. Okay. Just give me a second. I need to get hold of. So let me start by telling you a little bit about myself. I've shared at the surface level that one behavior which the world would constantly see me engaging in whenever there was a trigger of a heightened conflict, I would either keep quiet, move away from the room, or try and make peace. Okay, why are you getting into all this? Please calm down, etc. That would be my normal role. Now, in my mind, what would be going on at that point of time? The thoughts would be, hey, why are people behaving in this fashion? There is a logical way of really dealing with all this. This is going to get really messy, etc., etc. And feelings. How do you think I was feeling? I was feeling relaxed. What would I be feeling in that? Take a guess. Take a guess. How do you think I would be feeling? Relaxed, joyful, angry, helpful?
Anxious.
Sorry, anxious, very, very anxious. Extremely anxious, and my body would be contracted, my throat would be dry, my heart would be racing, and that would be happening at a feeling level to me. Beneath that, beneath the thoughts and feelings was this belief that conflicts are dangerous. They lead to a break in relationships. Right? And where do you think this belief came from? I wasn't born with this belief. I didn't come out into this world as a baby and say, hey, conflicts are dangerous. Right? So let me share some aspects of my early life with you. In my growing up years, I grew up in an environment which was full of conflict. My grandfather was in the police force at a very senior level, very strict, amazing man, very truthful and extremely honest, which was very rare in the police force. He would not take any bribes. People used to fear and respect him. But there was another side of him also, which was very scary. He was a very angry person. And he would get the discipline of the police station at home. So everybody had to be disciplined in a particular way. If they stepped out of that discipline, then he would shout, he would yell, he would scold. And it would be very, very scary. As a small boy growing up, I realized that it was very scary. And there were a lot of fights which would happen because of that. Right? Now, in that situation, I learned to cope with that situation by being nice. So what would I do? I would be the obedient boy. I would go as per whatever he would say. I would try and impress him in different ways. So this is where the mask started coming up. The mask of I am a good boy. Behind that is conflicts are dangerous. Okay, so this mask started coming up. This mask became even more firm when one incident occurred. So once my uncle, aunt, and children who were staying with my grandfather at that point of time, we were a little distance away. My aunt happened to say something to my grandfather, and grandfather took a lot of offense. Overnight, he told the whole family to leave the house. So they were homeless. It was really very scary for me. Looking at it from a distance, I said, hey, this is what can happen in case I get into any kind of a conflict. So it's best to avoid it. Okay. Along a similar point of time, the place where I was staying, we were a bunch of children, from 15, 16 children who used to be staying together. Or playing together, rather, not staying together, playing together. I have an elder brother and an eldest sister. My sister was mischievous. She used to play a lot of pranks. So one fine day, she played some prank and the whole group got very offended and they stopped speaking with us for 1 year. There was a big fight. 1 year, nobody spoke with us. Nobody played with us. So you can imagine as a small child what is going on. So that belief became extremely firm. Conflicts are dangerous. They lead to a break in relationships. So if I were to look at The iceberg now, let me share that with you. How did that actually play out? So in behaviors, I would move away from conflict, try to make peace. I would be tongue-tied at times. Thoughts would be, this will become messy. Why can't people understand? It can be done logically, etc. Feelings would be anxiety, throat drying up, shallow breathing, heart rate increasing. Now, there was a reason why this was happening. I was valuing harmony. Harmony became very important to me. If you look at it, my childhood experiences were such that I wanted harmony. So value started becoming harmony. My belief was conflicts are dangerous, they lead to a break in relationships. Life experiences I've just explained. Now, a critical factor which is very important, which drive our behaviors. Somebody mentioned about inner motivation. Inner motivation is nothing but our needs. Okay, at a very deep fundamental level, we are all creatures who are looking for some needs to be met. How many of you are aware of Maslow's hierarchy of needs? You're aware of Maslow's hierarchy. What are those needs? Anybody?
Physiological.
Yeah, physiological, social. Finally going on up to so at a very ground level, we are looking at safety, survival, food, clothing, and shelter. Then next level, we are looking at connection. We want to be connected with people. Third level, then we are looking at a sense of self-esteem. We get a sense of self-worth and self-esteem. And finally, then we are moving on towards higher levels, which is of self-actualization. Okay, that's what it talks about. So in our growing up years, very fundamental needs get challenged. So in my case, I did not feel safe with my grandfather. So that need was challenged. I also had a need of being accepted and to belong. Yeah, I had this fear of being rejected and being alone. So that made me actually start valuing harmony. If I don't practice harmony, if I don't avoid conflicts, I am going to be losing out on my needs of safety, acceptance, and belonging. Is that clear? So that's how the whole thing plays out. Right now, what's happening? Avoidance of conflict. Thoughts and feelings get triggered off. Why? Because I'm valuing harmony. Along with that value of harmony is a belief which says that conflicts are dangerous. They lead to a break in relationships. Okay? Where did that come from? Grandfather strict, would not entertain opinions, scold, yell, uncle asked to leave, friends stop talking, etc., etc. And all this because there were certain needs that were being challenged: safety, acceptance, and belonging. And there was a fear of being rejected and being alone. And just imagine now, all this is there beneath the waterline. And I'm wearing a mask of, what's the mask I'm wearing now? Good boy, nice boy. And that stayed with me throughout my life. This is where the foundation of mask happened. And I'm sharing one mask with you right now. We are going to dive much deeper into this and start uncovering different kinds of masks. Okay, all of us are carrying these identities or these masks with us. Okay, any questions of clarity related to this? If there is something that you're not clear about, please feel free to ask me.
None for now on my end.
Fine, okay. Anyone else? Please feel free to ask, because this is a very crucial part of whatever we are covering. This is going to be the foundation which we'll be working on throughout. Even in the next session that we do, this will be the foundation. So this needs to be clear for you. Anyone else?
Sir, if I could add just a thought. What you shared about the behavior, just changing the behavior, it just really dawned on me more. You know, with kids, how we value good behavior, not really asking if they enjoyed the good behavior.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not asking the reasons behind the good behavior. So, yeah, just that. Thank you.
And any comments? So one is about clarity, but anything you want to comment on, like just Ray commented. Anything else?
Just a question, sir, regarding,
Yes,
I mean, the
please.
last portion, the needs met or unmet.
Yeah.
Could it also be based, the needs which are not met are also based on certain conditions or life experiences? Like, for example, for I don't know if this is quite legitimate or valid on my point, but I find that I have this fear of not being accepted, or because when I was in the womb of my mother, my grandfather was quite reluctant or hesitant about her pregnancy. Would that be also another?
Yeah.
I mean, the life experiences of other people could be the effect also of the
Absolutely.
needs which are not met. Yeah.
Sure. So life experiences also, if you are able to remember the womb, perfect. No issues at all. That's a very valid life experience for you. You were alive in the womb, and yeah, there was a reluctance around having you. Correct? So that's a very valid experience that it could lead to a belief like, I don't belong really. I'm unloved. Or nobody really cares about me, something to that effect. It could really lead to that. So it's a very valid belief system which is there, which comes out of that life experience. So needs in that case would be which one? Marni?
The need, the fear of not not accepted. Yeah.
Not being accepted. So perhaps even you did not feel safe then.
Yes, that could also be because
This fear which comes here.
Yeah. Yes.
Good. So this is an example of that. So what I would love for each one of you to do right now, think of one of the behaviors that you want to shift. Any one behavior. And we're going to take a break shortly once you identify this, but any one behavior I want you to identify. In my case, I was often getting this feedback that, you are too conflict averse, you don't have a spine, you don't speak your mind out, you don't speak with conviction. So because of that, I often used to feel that this is a big interference coming on the way of my living my potential. Okay. So take any one behavior which you feel is important for you. It can actually make a big difference in you living your life fully.
Yeah, can I add one thing from a previous sharing? We had a session or we discussed little thing about letting go. So you can also remember those things that you shared during that session on letting go, or talking about letting go, in relation to what Uday is sharing.
Yeah, if there is a connection from previous sessions, by all means, please do integrate that. Identify one behavior. And think about why it is important for you to actually work on that behavior. And behavior is something that a camera can capture. Okay, remember. Camera will capture you doing what? It will capture you saying something. It will capture you doing something. That's it. It will not capture your thoughts, etc., feelings. What behavior? Somebody may have told you, hey, you need to be XYZ more. And you also feel the same maybe.
Is trying to fit into the society could be one of them.
Sure. So what do you do when you try to fit in? Last time you tried that, when was that? Look at an experience. Can you share? So I'm happy to talk to you about that. When is the last time that you tried to do, you did something that made you want to fit in? What did you do?
It's a constant, I think, almost every time. So thinking about one moment, one thing.
Or it could be any recent one, it could be in the past, just any one which pops up for you, that this is what I did.
Okay, so I I was born in a Hindu family, but no, I'm no longer a very religious person. But I follow all different religions. So when I go back to Nepal, and also when I'm in Korea right now, here in Korea, not eating beef is something like, oh, you don't even eat meat. And then I miss a lot of good meals. I enjoy the conversation with people. So I try to fit in here and then try to eat beef. But when I go back to Nepal, and then when I go back to Nepal, it's completely different. Like cow is worshipped as a god, and you can't even speak about having a meal. Out of cow. So that's one of the conflict I think.
That's a very clear example, Kamla. Okay, so hold on to this. Let me hear from some others as well. So if you really look at it, you're wearing a mask over here. We'll discover what that mask is. Anyone else? I would love each one of you to talk about just that one behavior before we,
for me would be like a fear of rejections, and this a fear of humiliating. And so for that, what my behavior is like, I keep silence, and I keep silence, and I don't become my real self. So the example is like now in Myanmar, we are in the revolutions, and majority of like the people take like use the violent mean, for example, like with the words, or with like a social punishment, or with so many things, right? So like for me, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that, but I believe in more like more engaging reconciliations, dialoguing, and or the other way. This is what I believe in. So what I started to happen is that even like my friends, my colleagues, or even my senior, when they took part in this violent part, I feel that I don't fit in the approach. I don't fit in how the majority publics are doing. So what I started to do is that I started to be silent, and I started to withdraw myself. And at the same time, I'm not completely happy that like withdrawing, it's not a solution. I can't be myself, like So, and I start to have a fear of rejection, because when I'm talking about compassion, when I'm talking about ethics or something, I would be like Aaron say, slam down, or, so that ones,
Beautiful. So you tend to keep quiet and suppress whatever is going on inside you. And you don't feel happy about it.
Yes. I feel guilty a lot, like, because I don't do what I believe in.
Beautiful. And you would like to work on this behavior so that you get more freedom in this matter. Is that true? Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much.
This would be also the part that I would involve in conscious and compassions. That's what I'm searching for. Yeah.
Got it. Very clear. Thank you. Can I hear it from the others as well? Very quick, just one sentence, two sentences, fine from you.
I'll go next.
Yeah, Amelia.
I'm having this problem where socializing is very tiring for me. So I actually have less, I put myself in the condition where I would have less conversation with other people when they are just talking about other people or like small things and all that. So it comes to my hearing that some people are saying that when I actually don't socialize, they take me as someone who is having less humanity in me. Who, when you don't speak to people for all these kind of things, they actually take you as someone who don't care about people. But from my end, from the people who are so used to know you, they know that you are ready to be there for people when they are in it. But it's just that you don't really talk. So yeah, maybe it's me who need to change, but it's very tiring for me to go to that far. Yeah.
So now we are looking at, just be clear, this for everyone, we are looking at one behavior that you would like to work on so that you have more freedom in that area. So what exactly would you like to work on over here, Amalina?
maybe the reluctant to actually not to withdraw myself from other people.
Okay. And yet be not exhausted in the process, just
Yeah.
being at ease. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yeah.
I could go.
Yes, please, Ray. Go ahead.
Okay. I'd like to let go of my innate tendency to strive for a lot and then to hold on to too much. I think despite me seeming a bit shy at times, I strive on I have a lot of dreams and I just act on them simultaneously. So perhaps it's also tied to a lack of focus or like seeing interconnection. So there, I'd like to be able to be more at rest at where I am, at the projects that I'm enjoying, being more purposeful at the same time present.
So when you are not being purposeful and present, what are you doing? What behavior can the camera capture?
Just an eagerness to try something new. Like
Okay, you'll move from one thing to the other. Eagerness to try. Okay,
and then like I spread myself too thin.
Spreading yourself too thin. Perfect. That's spot on. Thank you. Others?
I would like to say something.
Yes, please.
I try to see through people most of the times, and the bad thing is it shows on my face. So when I do not like someone, so they know it immediately. I don't know if this okay or not okay. I don't know. And another thing is I forgot. I wanted to tell something. Which is when I talk with people, sometimes I am too concentrated, emotionally, or the way I am talking or speaking with someone, it is I'm concentrated. So either I am too good or I am too bad. Not bad. I mean, I don't know what to put instead of the bad. When I'm angry, so I'm very angry, and when I'm good, and I'm very good, more than the necessity. So I'd like to change that. I'd like to be balanced.
So you want to be balanced in the matter of managing your emotions? Is that what you're saying?
Emotions, yes. Also, while interacting with someone.
Yeah.
Do you mean you're more conscious that when you are speaking to someone and more conscious?
Sorry?
Are you more conscious when you're speaking?
Yes, conscious, of course, because sometimes I speak too much of my mind, and that is not good for my experience. So yeah.
So that's one behavior, if you can take up, that there is a tendency to just speak out your mind in whatever way. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not. But when I let myself go, I sometimes say too much, which I don't like myself. And I am too concentrated. Like I just said that when I'm with my friend, I let out too much. Sometimes that turns out very bad. But when I'm angry, I let out too much anger. That's what I'm trying to say.
So can we work on one thing?
Very expressive, Uday. I think that's what I understand.
Expressive, yes. With the people I like to spend time with expressive, not with the others.
So Musabbir, can we work on one thing then maybe the anger part of it, that there is something that makes you angry and you show too much anger then?
Yeah.
Okay. Can we work on that aspect then?
Yes, I guess.
Yeah, because we'll take one at a time, then you can apply this to different behaviors. This method that we are going to be studying, we can apply it to different behaviors. Okay? Great. Marni, how can?
Yeah.
Aaron?
For me, OCD. Is OCD a behavior?
Sure, of course. But just describe, where do you get OCD?
Where do I get it?
Content?
In what context?
When do you actually show up obsessively?
I mean, okay, the common one would be like at home. where the things have to be very systematic, put in the right place. Even the toys, my kids, it's very easy that, it triggered me when things are not in place. And it will somehow that, spoil the mood of the whole day. But, kids, when they play, is that, they have their way of playing. But I just can't take it. Yeah, that's OCD.
Sure. Marnie, Shen?
For me, I think it would be the want to impress and to be recognized. But if I'm going to concretize it in certain actions that I'm doing, it would be telling people what I'm actually involved in, what I am doing. So like posting in social media and then telling my friends that I'm doing this and doing that. But the inner motivation really for doing that is really to impress them or for them to some sort of do some recognition about me. So perhaps what I would have to work on is basically when doing, like, say for example, works for other people. I think what I would emphasize more would be the narratives of the people that I am engaging with rather than what I am doing. So basically that's it.
Okay. Aaron and Shens?
Hi. I think for me it will be so-called anger management, I think. But it's not that I get triggered easily, but I tend to show that side of me to people that are closer to me. So I think that's something very bad because I think it's something that would push away people there that care about you. So I think that's something that I should change on.
Okay, thanks. Aaron?
Yes, a very hard question actually. Okay, but to think about one thing, it would be being more relaxed. I have to be more relaxed.
When do you get tense? When do you get tense?
Yes. Yeah, you're correct. Especially when there's competition.
Okay.
Well, it's a self-made thing that this competition exists.
So whenever there is a competitive kind of an environment, you tend to get tense. Is that right?
Yeah, you're correct.
And how would the camera capture you? What would you be doing in that, Aaron?
It would be very obvious. I would have a very tense face as well.
Tense face, okay. And what would you do or say? How would it be different from normal?
I would look like I'm doing things calmly, but inside it's burning.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed about myself. I look very calm when I do things, but that inside that's not the case.
So, and mentally, how does anyway? We'll come to that a little later. But is there something that people will notice in your behavior? How is it different from normal? You behave in some ways normally when you're relaxed, but when there is competition, you behave in a certain way. What would that be?
I think the only difference would be facial expression.
Okay, but in your actions, is there any difference?
No, not that I can think about at the moment, but I don't think many people would notice.
No, it's not about others. It's about you being aware that, like in my case, I would keep quiet in a conflict, or I will do something to move away from the conflict, something like that. So typically, whatever is there beneath the waterline will drive you to behave in a particular way. So do you talk less? Do you talk more? Or do you try harder?
All three.
Okay.
All three, depending on what it is.
Got it.
What the context is, yeah.
So keep that in mind and perfect. You want to share, Nirmal? Just unmute yourself.
For me, it's difficult to say no.
Okay, you just mentioned that last time, in your interference.
The recent examples what I'm experiencing is now there is one thing that I would like to share. Sounds commercial, but now both the parties, both the people who wants to buy is a close of mine, and I don't know which one to say no to. One, at least if I am going to sell it, then I have to say no, to one of them. And still now I'm struggling because I'm saying okay,
okay, got it.
Saying yes.
Spot on. Great. So now next step we're going to be taking is to actually, from that behavior, we are going to construct the whole iceberg for each one of you individually. You need to reflect upon that and do it. Okay. So I'm proposing a 20-minute break, which includes your iceberg, 25 minutes. In fact, I would love for you to spend some time just immersing into that reflection. And when you come back with your iceberg. Okay. So I'm going to be putting up my iceberg on the screen so that it's a reference point for you. Okay. And for the behaviors that you have described, see if you can actually fill up all the rest. So take some quiet time. We have 25 minutes right now. And come back and then we will discuss further. Okay. A couple of you on, have you been able to actually work on this? It may not be like completely clear, but sufficiently clear for you. Yeah. I would request a couple of you to share your experience and what you've come out with.
I could start. Is it too noisy right now with where I am? I turned on my fan. Okay. So for my iceberg, so the behavior is spreading myself thin, and then the thoughts.
Not able to hear you, please.
Not able to hear.
You have to put on the fan.
There. All right. Am I audible?
Yes, you are right now.
Okay. Yeah. My behavior is that I spread myself too thin.
Mm-hmm.
And then the thoughts that are in my head are, these are all great opportunities to learn from, serve and collaborate. Feelings are excited and I feel affirmed. I find that there is meaningful achievement if I'm able to actually do the things, and then a bit of impact. The values and beliefs are quite mixed on my end, like the way that I've put them here. So like, I believe in collaboration and that we need to be multidisciplinary and have deep stakeholder engagement. Diversity is very important, and of course, a purposeful life and service. Life experiences that we endorsed are me traveling in being an overseas Filipino worker in Dubai, volunteer. That the first travel that I had in Hong Kong with my mom when I was very young. My mama too is also very important here. So in the sense because she would always say in Filipino, sige anak, kaya mo yan, ipakita mo sa kanila. So she's like, okay, you go girl, you go on child, you can just show your abilities to them that you can actually do it. So she has always encouraged me a bit too much. So but in school I was an underperformer and I've also been bullied. So you know, the good things, if I find myself, there's a strength, I do what I can. I don't underperform anymore. So my mom's passing is also an experience because she's so proud of me. But she passed away at such a point that despite her being proud, I believe that I wasn't able to be at my best yet. So I'm on hyperdrive to give honor to her name.
Beautiful.
So the needs and unmet needs, if ever, a mix. And so definitely I have an abundance of affirmations from my mother and her belief in me, which I've realized is not the case for so many. So it's very hard to know that, because there's just so much in the belief of a parent. The need to not regret my life is also something that always, I think, unmet, because it's always a constant thing. Am I going to regret my life? Am I going to regret my life? And of course, an ongoing need, of course, is to honor God and my mother with my life. So that's it.
Very clear, Ray. And so this clarity is there related to your iceberg now. I'm sure each one of you at different levels of clarity would have got your iceberg. My question to you now, so what? Earlier we were looking at behaviors, we've gone a little deeper and understood where it comes from. So what? What's the use of all this? Is it going to cause any change? Or is it again like the education where we are filling our mind with one more concept? Iceberg now, very nice fancy concept. Fill it up and you think you have the solution.
I think there's something there, sir, like for the sense of like, are my physical, is my physical and psychosocial manifestation of my behaviors, are these still aligned to the main reason why I'm doing the things that I like?
Yes.
I think that's how I connect it with.
But at the same time, just be aware. All of us started with one behavior that we would like to shift. So it seems like you want to, you're doing it because you like doing it, but it doesn't seem to be really doing its job for you. So dwell on this question a lot more. It seems like you are doing it to meet your needs, but is it really so? That's a question to dwell upon. For all of you. And second question, if I were to really, let me share with you some things. So this is one iceberg that you have uncovered. So if this is one iceberg, excuse me, this is one iceberg, it's not the only one. There are many more. Okay. So if we are only a bunch of icebergs, then what is our authentic self? If we are a bunch of habits and icebergs, then what is our authentic self really? Yeah, some examples I can give you from my own life. Yeah, just is one of my icebergs is around conflict. Second iceberg is around I'm not good enough. Third iceberg is around emotions are a sign of weakness. Okay, I grew up in an environment where we were not supposed to express emotions. So I became a very clinical, would not express emotions, would not share with people. And that's the kind of a person I became, right? Fourth was the whole aspect of you should not fail. Failure is not an option. Each one of these resulted in a certain habit, a way in which I could actually survive in this world. I could cope in this world. But it has got nothing to do with thriving. Thriving and surviving are two different things. We do all this iceberg bit. We get into habits so that we can survive, so that we can get some needs met at that point of time in life. But then we get programmed for life and keep operating only out of those icebergs. Then where is our authentic self really? That's an inquiry which I would love to leave with each one of you. Where is our authentic self? What is our authentic self? Because all of us are just automatic machines. We think that we are in control, But actually, we are just doing same repetitive things over and over again. With sometimes there are moments of creativity, little bit here and there. We want to change the world, but we are a product of just some fixed habits and patterns. With fixed habits and patterns, can the world really be changed? Not possible. So the question is, who are you really? So one of you asked this question, yeah, I want to inquire into who am I? If I am just this bundle of habits, repetitive behaviors, mindsets, and what's the mindset? Everything below the waterline is a mindset. We talk about mindsets. Your mind is set. Everything below the waterline is set. If that mind is set, then the behavior is also set. It means we have very limited choice. We say we are human beings and we've got choice, but actually if we are programmed, then where is the choice? Is there really any choice? So I'm not giving any answers right now. It's for you to inquire into. We will take this up the next time when we meet, certainly. But happy to entertain any questions if you have at this point of time. There is an elaborate process which we'll be following, which will take this learning further. But right now, you need to be in that inquiry. Check for yourself. What I'm going to be sharing with you is 2 reflection sheets. One is related to your life story, where there are a series of questions which you need to set down and answer. If you've already done that, you just need to maybe transport it here and look at it from that perspective. Second thing which you will be doing is inquiring further into the core beliefs of yours which got formed. Okay, so I'm going to be sending you that. Like I shared about 5 things about myself. Failure is not an option. I'm not good enough. Emotions are a sign of weakness. Conflicts are dangerous. Another one for me is my intelligence will get me ahead. And these 4 or 5 things would rule my life. Everywhere I would show up in a particular way, in an automatic way. I keep repeating some of these behaviors in different situations in different ways. That's about it. And that defined me as an individual. It helped me to cope. It helped me to survive. But then I came to a point of time in my life where I actually started saying that is this all that there is to life? How do I break free? How do I really make a difference in the world? I had no answers. But the journey started with me starting to understand myself better, which we are seeking to do through this exercise. A lot of silence. Let's hear some questions if at all you have anything. When I said all these, so each one of you is just a machine. You don't have any choice. What's your reaction to that?
I don't agree, sir.
Prove me otherwise.
Well, definitely, sir. We are also a mix of social constructs, yes. But there's still, despite it being nuanced. I think we think that free choice ought to be non-nuanced, when in fact it cannot. My free choice, my freedom is also tied to your freedom.
My question is, if each one of us is just a bunch of icebergs, different patterned ways of behaving, we are just machines. Where is the choice?
And everyday reflections, there are choices. There are choices. The fact that we have feelings, and yet we choose to do what's right despite the feelings telling us that, just get this, just do this.
Okay.
But you have higher choices. There are choices.
Anyone else? So I'm not going to respond to any. I just want to hear your thoughts on this. I would love for you to reflect on it. In a situation where all of us have just got programs since childhood, how does choice really show up? And is it really there? Anyone else?
Yeah, please, get some discussion moving, please.
Yeah. Would love to hear.
Yeah.
And you need not agree with me, okay? I'm just throwing a question at you. Say whatever you feel is right for you.
Yeah. As for me, freedom is quite ambiguous, really. We aspire to be free, and yet we are restricted or constricted with a lot of things in life. Our experiences, my experiences in childhood, the expectations of the world me would have the tendency to hinder me from becoming the person that I would want to become. That is true. And yet we always have the choice really to move past those expectations, but it would entail a lot of sacrifice on our part. It would entail sacrifices in terms of breaking free from the norm set by your parents, and also sacrifices in digging within yourself what is really wrong or what have been done wrong to you. So sacrifice. So there's a choice always, but it entails sacrifice. That's how I understand it. Yeah.
So if you're saying there is choice and a change can be brought about, how do you bring about the change?
Well, it's not a one-time instant deal, really. It takes even a lifetime. Like I'm like 33 years old, and then I'm still struggling with the same kind of problem since I wasn't when I was still young. And it's a struggle, really. It's a struggle. But there is that, it's a continuous journey, I would say. It entails a lot of self-reflection, a lot of self-awareness, a lot of even self-destruction. I mean, the ideal self, of the self that I have built up for a very long time. So yeah, that's for me.
So, and you said it requires sacrifices. What kind of sacrifice does it require? Today we are in this session and you are actually reflecting on deeper patterns and how you are wired up as an individual. What's the sacrifice here?
Well, one is time, for sure,
Okay.
because we're very busy people. We like, for me, I'm working like for 24/7, not really 24/7, but even Sundays I work. But it entails a sacrifice of time of being here. I would have slept the whole weekend if not for this program. So it is a sacrifice. It entails a lot of time, really, to get to know yourself and to let go of some leisures, perhaps, of going to the mall or watching Netflix, those kinds of sacrifices. And yeah.
Okay, I get what you're meaning by sacrifice now. Life, if left to itself, is on autopilot where we'll keep doing a fixed few things. But if you get onto the balcony and start reflecting, that you're calling a sacrifice and then working on those patterns, right? Okay, yeah. So to that extent, yes, there is a choice. But the question remains, if we are all automatic in terms of various ways, how are we going to break free from this grip of all these pattern behaviors? That's going to be your reflection before we meet the next time. Okay. I'm also going to send you some more reflection sheets for you to understand. Today we looked at only one behavior, but I'm sure there are 4 or 5 other behaviors which are very normal to you. For you to really get in touch with those and understand the iceberg is the first step, and also its impact on your life. I would love for each one of you to start being aware of what's the impact on your life. Okay. Anyone else? Any comments?
Yeah.
Yes, Hong.
Yeah, just one, like not so clear yet, but still vague. But one thing I start to understand a little bit is that like one thing is that to aware that we are in autopilot. So this is one thing. And the second thing is that to understand what is behind the big chunk of that invisible part, right? The behind of our behavior. This is the second part. And then like how to break through this circle is that to recreate the new experience. For example, here in the 4th layer, we have life experience. Because of this life experience, this value are formed and these feelings are happens and this behavior is happening. So like if we have like a strong vision to break this and to have a choice on our new behavior, our new like evolving. So we have to recreate the new experience that would nurture this particular value to set. So for example, in my case, like my behaviors are, I'm like silence and withdraw, and because like the main thing is that the fear of rejections, and so I have like a lot set in this iceberg. But the other side that I want to be grounded and nurture my conscious and compassion. So to do so, I need to recreate the new experience. So only if I create the new experience, if I only go through this one, this conscious and compassion become my experiential wisdom. Only that, so I will start to behave like very authentically, and I could able to overcome this like internal interference. So only in that way, like even though the external interference is not changed, but I become very grounded, very central to myself. So this is like a few things that come out when drawing the iceberg.
So there's a theme, if you see, if it's running. Ray, you mentioned that, yes, we have choice and we can do things. Marni, you took it one step further and said, what is the choice that we really have? We have a choice of reflecting on how we are really wired up and then start working on it. Additionally, what you have mentioned, Home, is that, okay, we have reflected and we have understood. Now we need to create new experiences so that we are actually able to have a different level of understanding and wisdom. Okay, so now the critical point is, how are we going to do all this? That's something that I'm going to leave you with. And one step before that is, yes, you need to really, you've done one iceberg now. Can you really start looking at your life now? Can you ensure that as a way of life, you're able to be on the balcony whilst you're in the dance? Hey, there goes once again. I wanted to speak out, but I kept quiet again. What happened to me in my body? Okay, my shoulders tightened a little. My chest contracted. I started breathing in a little shallow way. These thoughts came in my mind and then I kept quiet. So when you're doing your journaling now, in your journaling, you need to catch yourself engaging in automatic behaviors and write it down. Okay, these are my automatic behaviors. Start now maintaining a record of how many times do you catch yourself engaging in automatic behaviors. Okay, then the how of it, the experience of how do you now shift those behaviors is something that we'll look at the next time. So catch yourself, number one, and number two is the impact of that. What's the impact on your life? I don't think any of you are really aware of the extent to which it has impacted your life. You need to dive deeper to really understand what's the impact. When I really understood the impact of how conflict aversion grips my life, oh, it was a very, very different experience for me. Okay, so be in that curiosity and that inquiry now. Today, when we leave from here, I'm going to send you two reflections, one on your life story and another one is called life sentences. You will understand it when you read it. It's allied with whatever we have shared. And related to those, I want you to construct at least 2 more icebergs. Okay. And third thing, which I'm going to be sharing with you now before we sign off for the day is, how does one start moving onto this journey powerfully? One of the elements I'm going to share today. It's not an answer, but it's a vehicle for you to start understanding yourself better. And that is mindfulness. How many of you have a practice of mindfulness or meditation right now? Kamala, you have? Home? What kind of meditation do you do, Home?
I do Vipassana insight meditation. Yeah.
Vipassana insight meditation. And how about you, Kamala?
I do guided meditation just by myself.
So wonderful. So, Home, can you share how Vipassana fits into all this? How do you think it can be useful?
Yes, Vipassana fit in a way that just to observe, just to fully observe, like now, sir, you mentioned that when these particular things happen, and you really observe on the sensations that happen in the body, and be with yourself and sit with yourself. Like also one things that remind me of that, like when we are talking about changing the behavior, and I just like one connection that happened to me is that the like not forcing to change, let it to evolve, and let it to come, and let it to change, let the change to happen, not like you change it, let the change to happen naturally. So these two I start to connect with, yeah. And also like to deeply understand the factor beyond the trigger, or the triggers, and the root causes of beyond this feeling, these behaviors.
Beautiful. Very, very short and succinct and very precise.
Yeah, Uday, can I there are two Catholics, they are also practitioners, and we have Amelina, who also prays 5 times.
Oh, then that is also mindfulness. Yes.
So please do not think mindfulness is a concept that comes from Buddhism.
Oh, not at all. Not at all.
No, not for you, the others. So when Uday shares the idea of mindfulness, I think these others keep in mind that in whatever tradition you come from, this idea is already built into the way in which do your prayers, you do your these sacred activities or related to sacred activities. So so it's just not a Buddhist concept. It comes in all traditions in different words, different ways. So I think that's what I want. Okay.
Thanks for that prompt, Dr. Nat. In fact, I just want to share, building on what Dr. Nat has said. So one of my mindfulness teachers has been Shinzen Young. He's an American who spent around 50 years odd just meditating and doing extensive neuroscience-based research with Howard, with Carnegie Mellon, etc. He's integrated Vipassana as well as the prayer of silence, for which comes from the Christian tradition, the Sufism aspect, the yogic aspects, everything under one roof. So one common thing which he's found as a theme across all is the whole aspect of focus and concentration and observation. Okay, this cuts across every religion, every spiritual practice, etc. So it's very scientific and neuroscience based. If you're praying 5 times a day and you're doing it with full mindfulness, you're building focus. You're building a deeper connection with yourself, right? If you're doing Vipassana and you're observing the sensations, yes, you're building a focus as well as the ability to actually understand by being on the balcony what's happening inside me, right? You could be following your breathing or you could be doing a guided meditation. So there are various practices of mindfulness across every faith. So this is a capacity that we are talking about rather than linked to any faith. It's very, very clear. So whether you're a Christian, you're in the Muslim tradition, you're a Buddhist, it doesn't matter. So what I'm going to be sharing with you is in fact a course which is very, Dr. Nat, is there something that I can recommend which is an online course which is free for all to attend, and it's a very simple attention-based course? I can't hear you.
You're on mute, Dr. Nat.
Yeah. What you can do is to share those information in an email so that then we will have, when we have a chat, then we will see how to factor it in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for that, I would love to take each one of you through a brief experience of what mindfulness is about at a very, very, very simple level. Okay. So whenever an experience is happening in our life, how do we experience it? It is through the 5 senses, correct? You have the senses of sight, you have the senses of smell, hearing, taste, and smell, correct? So you get inputs from the environment, and then what happens? The mind comes into the picture and it starts making a complete mix of all this and creates a meaning. Based on that meaning, we will react or respond. Typically what happens is It's an automatic meaning which we make. If I see somebody staring at me like this, what does it mean? Oh, this person is angry with me. Then I will respond in a particular way. Correct? In mindfulness, what are we doing really? We are looking at seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling, all those aspects. We are segregating each one of those and looking at them as they are. Okay? And we are also being aware of any meaning that is being given to it. When we do this, what can happen if we are really being observant, being on the balcony around whatever is happening inside us as well as outside us? What can happen? How do you think this is useful? Anyone? How do you think it is useful? If I am able to develop a capacity to move away from immediately getting into that meaning making and doing whatever I've always been doing, if I observe, what do you think is the advantage I get out of it?
I think you can get a deeper, wider view of things, that you can get calm and sort things out. It's very important when talking about meaning, right? It doesn't mean anything when you have meaning, but you don't know how to connect the meaning. So when you observe things, you observe from a different angle, you start to connect why this means something here and why it is means something here. So you can go to the middle ground. Middle ground for me is very important, is to avoid you from become too extreme or become too low. So yeah.
Beautiful, very, very clear. So I'll take you through a brief experience of this now. This is a concept that, yeah, we should be able to do this. Brief 10-minute experience on this, and then I'm going to leave you with an access to a course which you can take on. It's a simple course, 10 days, you spend 15 minutes, you'll actually learn the technique. But I will take you through that experience right now. So would invite each one of you to just sit comfortably with your feet flat on the floor. Make sure your spine is erect. Allow your hands to be placed comfortably on your lap. Relax your shoulders and gently close your eyes. Start becoming aware of all the places where your body is in touch with the chair or the floor. The contact points. Become aware. The slight pressure which your body exerts on the chair and a counter pressure. The pressure of your feet on the floor and the counter pressure. Just become aware of in your body any places where you might be having a sensation. It could be stiffness, some tightness, maybe some pain. Allow your attention to focus on that completely. Check inside yourself. What emotion are you going through right now? Are you feeling peaceful? Are you feeling happy? Are you feeling joyful? Are you feeling irritated? Are you feeling tired? You'll be angry. And corresponding to that, there will be a sensation on your body. Bring your attention to that sensation. Now slowly move your attention from your body to any sounds that may be there in the environment, something that you can hear. Bring your complete focus to that sound in the environment. And if there is no sound, you can focus on silence. Move from one sound to the other. Maybe my voice, some sound in the environment. Be with it for a few seconds before you move on. So we have moved on from the faculty of feeling to the faculty of hearing out. Now let's hear inside. Listen to your thoughts. Where do your thoughts begin in your mind? Are they rapidly moving thoughts? Are they moving slowly? Or is there just silence in your mind? Then pay attention to that silence. You don't need to focus on the content of your thoughts, just become aware of the thoughts. The thoughts also may have some volume. Are they loud? Are they soft? Now move from the faculty of hearing to the faculty of seeing. Behind your closed eyes or just in front of your closed eyes, there will be a screen on which you may see some images. Vague images, clear images, still images, moving images, or the screen may be just blank. Pay attention to the images, look at the contours of the images. You're actually being like a microscope as you're doing this activity. Sharp focus, high resolution, and being very objective. No pushing and pulling, pushing some image away or feeling excited about something. Can you just observe it calmly? You're developing the capacity to be in the balcony, an observer of all that is happening within you and outside you. Now slowly open your eyes and allow yourself to look around in the room you're in. As your eyes fall on any particular object, just wait there for a few seconds and take in all the details of that object. The shape, the contours, the colors. with curiosity as if you're observing it for the first time. After a few seconds, move on to the next object. Slowly come back to the center of the screen. And look at all the people on the screen. And finally, you can allow yourself to smile a little bit at everybody.
Thanks, Uday.
Thank you.
They will be going through these processes in a little bit more deeper sense in March, when they're going to go through the different meditation methods, different traditions, including Zen. They will be going through that in March. So this is a good primer, as it were, introduction to some of the things. But the different traditions have different ways, of taking people through a meditative process, through a mindfulness process. So they're going through that. So I think you have just introduced them to this thing that they need to do. Just to let you know that they are going to go.
Sure. Good.
Okay.
So my question to all of you was, what was the experience of this just now? Was it easy? Was it difficult? What did it leave you with? We just did some 7 minutes of it.
I find it's hard
Yeah, okay.
because there's a lot of things running in the head. So shifting and focus, like you want to shift from one thing to another thing very quick. I think it requires me a lot of exercise to do that. And when we are talking about the sound, right? Whenever we are focusing on one sound, the other sound will keep coming in. Even though it's not as loud as the other one that we are focusing, but it's still there. It's same to our thoughts. Yeah.
So if you really look at it, we are talking about choice. If our mind is being pulled in so many different directions automatically, we have very limited choice in the matter. Our brain will just pick up something which is the most normal, safest, and just go for it. Creativity will not be there. Yeah, so that's one. It gets you aware of how much chatter is there in the mind and in the body. Okay. Anyone else? How was it for you?
For me, I think that the control part is that we take the control of how it should go rather than you just let it flow. It's like sort of like being how to have the switch of the sensation, the five sense to experience it, where most of the time that, like what mentioned previously, is that autopilot mode. We just follow the whatever happening, we just use whatever sense it has to be. But now it's like how we switch our position, or like when you in the middle, like at the balcony to see what's going on, take a step back just to see. So it's like, let me realize that it's actually is doable, is controlled. Just need to practice more. Yeah, something like that.
So this experience, were you able to get a glimpse of that? What it takes to really observe and just be with it?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So I'm just realizing we are at 12 p.m. right now. And we have covered some distance today. We have looked at aspects like, if we have to create an impact out there in the world, perform to our maximum, be productive, and make that be equal to our potential, we need to start working with our interferences. And interferences are of two types, external, internal. And it's in mastering the internal, the inner game, that you are able to have mastery in the external world. Right? So the way of doing that is starting to develop the ability to get onto the balcony whilst being in the dance. So we may be in the dance all the time, running through life, but how can we get onto the balcony and start observing? We started observing from a higher balcony related to one of our pattern behaviors. What's really happening internally? Why is it that I behave the way I do? We have not really looked at what to do with it, but that's for another time. Right now, you need to be with the whole challenge of looking at the impact of it and how is it that one is going to, at an experiential level, start shifting behaviors. Okay. Critical ability to master again on this journey is going to be your ability to be mindful in the moment. Am I really aware of what's happening inside me, around me? How much am I really coming from an autopilot and just jumping into whatever is to be done? So that's another aspect that we have just briefly touched upon. So this theme will be carried ahead in different ways, I'm sure, with different educators. So wonderful chatting with each one of you. It's been a pleasure. Dr. Nat?
Yes, yes, Uday. I think it's this is the third learning encounter, and it's an encounter which is a wonderful process. As you can see, the heart's up.
Let me also respond with my heart.
Yeah, let's all respond with our heart. If where do you click this heart?
You can find it from the reaction.
In reactions, if you click
Reaction.
Where do I get reaction?
On the bottom bar.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I am okay, right. Yeah, thanks.
There you go. You found your heart.
Yeah, I found my heart. Well, all of you are my heart. It's been nice traveling with you, and I think they also enjoyed it. And we will continue some of the themes that you have developed into the next learning encounter next Saturday and Sunday. So thank you very much, Uday. I'm sure you will become part of their network and friendship circles, which I've been asking them to, building friendships and networks. So they will keep in touch with you in case they need help.
Please do. Please. That's one thing.
These are different approaches to how we can meditate. There is no one way. There's no need to always sit down and meditate. You can walk. There's walking meditation. There is drawing meditation. There's gardening meditation. There is carpentry meditation. You know, the meditative approaches of how you can be connected to yourself are many. So we don't just always have to be sit down and be quiet and be mindful. We are mindful while we are doing things. So this whole approach, I need you to understand that, you know, this meditation, being quiet, being connected with this emptiness, being alert, being watchful. There are different traditions bring different things into your life, and different new ways of circular methods are being also evolved. How you connect to that inner self. And there are, of course, neurobiologists connect it to certain kinds of mental waves that connects it to your bodily states or mental states. So we will come to all those things slowly, one by one, just through experience, better than by talking. Though I will just keep on giving you this larger picture. So this is a stage we have gone through. I hope, you know, many of you, if not all of you, did what Uday has suggested you do, including the last minute meditation and observing. Observing is so critical. Observing yourself is so critical, and observing your thoughts, observing your sensations are so critical. And if you think that you have, and let me tell you, I'm 70 years old, I still can't do it. And I can see I can see myself that observing myself, my feelings are never easy. It's really difficult. And so I would, you know, ask each one of you that this is not a simple practice, but once you get it right, then it's really, really helpful, very helpful in many, many aspects for yourself and for your relationship with others and for your relationship with the world. nature. And so so let's take it one by one. And then we can see how it will be easier to receive this whole idea of conscience and compassion as part of your practice, not only just knowledge. Okay, see you tomorrow then. Thank you so much for being here. Okay.